They thought your silence meant you had nothing to say. They thought your distance meant you were weak. But little did they know, you were learning the art that destroys control, the art that shatters manipulation, the art that turns pain into power, detachment. And once you learn it, no one owns you, no one plays you, no one touches your soul unless you hand them the blade. But guess what? You burned the blueprint, you erased the access. Now they're screaming from a distance and you don't even blink. See, people love to trap you in emotional webs. They pretend they care just enough to keep you around, but not enough to actually see you, hear you, or value you. They thrive when you're unstable, when you're questioning your worth, when you're addicted to their approval. Why? Because as long as you're seeking something from them, validation, answers, affection, they're in control. They keep you on a leash made of false hope and half-hearted affection. But when you learn detachment, when you finally cut that invisible chain, they panic. Because the version of you that needed them, the version they fed off like emotional parasites, begins to vanish. And when you disappear emotionally, when you stop feeding their ego with your confusion, your apologies, your cries for clarity, they realize they've lost their hold on you completely. Let me tell you what terrifies people more than revenge, more than confrontation, more than screaming matches. It's silence. Cold, unshakable silence. It's that blank stare that says, "You're irrelevant now." It's that eerie calm when they expect a war and all they get is your absence. And it's not just silence, it's your indifference. That, my friend, is a death sentence to manipulators. Because people who depend on your emotional reactions to feel powerful crumble when you show no reaction at all. They feed on your emotions, and when you stop offering them up like sacrificial gifts, they starve. And nothing is more terrifying than realizing the person you used to control no longer cares if you stay or go. They call you cold. They call you heartless. But the truth is, you finally stopped self-destructing for people who wouldn't spit water on you if you were on fire. They say you've changed, and they're right. You stopped picking up calls from chaos. You stopped replying to disrespect. You stopped arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. That isn't cold. That's healed. That's growth. That's survival. Because after a while, you realize you can't keep handing out explanations to people who don't even deserve your presence, let alone your thoughts. So instead, you give them something far more powerful than words: your silence, your disconnection, your complete and utter lack of interest. And understand, this detachment isn't cowardice, it's war strategy. It's the moment you stop playing the role they assigned you in their twisted little narrative. It's when you drop the mask and walk off stage, mid-performance, while the audience still claps for a scene you no longer care to play. Detachment is power disguised as peace. It's not about avoiding life. It's about choosing your battles. It's about realizing that not every insult deserves a response. Not every loss deserves grief. And not every person deserves a seat at your table just because they showed up pretending to care. Once you understand that, you stop trying to make everyone understand you, and you start prioritizing your peace like your life depends on it. Because guess what? It does. The moment you detach, everything shifts. You stop chasing closure like a drug. You stop begging people to explain why they broke you. You stop reopening wounds just to hear someone say, "I'm sorry," because you realize, if they cared, they wouldn't have cut you in the first place. You stop living in the courtroom of your mind, defending your worth to people who already made up their mind to devalue you. You walk out. No goodbye, no closure, no second act, just silence. And that silence, it echoes louder than any explanation you could have given. You become a question mark in their story, a haunting whisper that says, they let go of someone who never would have dropped them. And that, right there, becomes their karma. You don't detach because you're broken. You detach because you finally recognize how much power you've given away. You gave your time, your love, your trust to people who treated it like it was disposable. And it hurts. It hurts like hell. But that pain becomes your teacher. That heartbreak becomes your transformation. You begin to look around and realize you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong people. And so, you stop, you close the door, you lock it, and you build a new one. One where access is earned, not given by default. Detachment teaches you to stop hoping for better apologies and start expecting better standards. And now they're watching you. Oh yes, they're watching from behind the curtain, wondering why they can't pull your strings anymore. They're confused, agitated, restless, because the version of you that used to text back right away, that used to overthink every silence, that used to cry over breadcrumbs, is gone. That version of you died the day you realized your peace was worth more than their presence. Now you don't chase, you don't explain, you don't beg. You simply observe and choose silence. And the louder they scream, the more quiet you become. That's your power. That's your evolution. People confuse detachment with loneliness. Let them. Because while they're out there seeking validation in chaos, you're finding clarity in solitude. You're learning that peace isn't found in another person's approval. It's found in your own boundaries. And every time you choose solitude over suffering, every time you choose stillness over screaming, every time you choose to walk away rather than beg to be seen, you level up, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You become untouchable. And the world doesn't know what to do with a soul that no longer needs saving. The game shifts when you stop handing over your emotions like free samples. When people can't predict you, they can't control you. They can't manipulate what they can access. So they try harder. They provoke you, test you, bait you. But you don't bite. You smile. You nod. You vanish. Because detachment isn't about being passive. It's about being calculated. It's about knowing that some battles are better won by walking away. You let them swing at shadows while you build an empire behind closed doors. And when they finally realize the storm they created lost its thunder, you've already moved on. You've learned the sacred lesson. Not everyone who wants you deserves you. Not everyone who misses you deserves a second chance. And not everyone who hurts you deserves an explanation. Some people just need to watch you from a distance and live with the consequences of losing access to the version of you that was all in. Because that version is gone, and in its place stands something colder, wiser, and more focused. A version that doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't entertain chaos. A version that knows detachment isn't weakness, it's divine strength in disguise. And now, you don't scream your worth. You don't argue to be understood. You let people misinterpret you. Let them gossip. Let them assume. You're not responsible for the stories they write about you in their fragile little heads. You're responsible for your peace, for your healing, for your evolution, So you stay silent, you keep building, you keep rising, and the higher you go, the more silent you become. Because when you've mastered detachment, nothing outside of you can shake what lives within. This is the Joker's final rule. Once you learn detachment, you become a ghost in their memory, but a legend in your own mind. And legends don't argue, they don't beg, they don't explain, they just evolve, quietly, ruthlessly, unapologetically.